Alright, so I'm back out in the garage, and these bars, when I moved it in here, I don't know if you can see it there, they're very loose, and they shifted. I pushed them up, they came down. So I'm looking at that first, just so that I can move this thing around safely. This dashboard, different than my 93, went to the electronic gauges. My other stuff is analog, and this bezel and everything is just like my 06 Street Glide. So I'm pretty familiar with how this comes apart, and of course I'm learning because I don't know what's under there. I was told there's a amplifier for the radio, and the speakers were updated, so I don't know what kind of wiring I'm going to find in there, because I found some accessory wiring that is not the best underneath the seat. So I want to just kind of take a look, and that's what I'm up to. Sure, you can see my dash light is on. So with accessories, I don't know if they're all supposed to be on or not, but that's what I'm looking to find out. Take a note, the yellow-brown wire already is an accessory that I don't know for sure what it's operating. This is kind of the fun part, getting to know what's going on in here. But as you can see, there's been some additional wiring going on using the power that's available. But I'm okay with that. We'll have to see what it says. I do know that there were a lot of accessory lightings on this, and I can't wait to get rid of all that crap. It's definitely not something I like. Alright, so I dug in a little deeper. I was having trouble with the bike leaning. I was like, I didn't understand what was going on. So I was gonna roll my lift underneath to pick it up. And when I went to do that, the bike toppled over. So the locking pin that's on the top of the kickstand was fractured all over. So once I got the bike back up, I put it on the center stand, which I'm glad that there's a center stand on this thing, because I would have been hosed had it not been on there. So as you can tell, I'm digging in. There's an aftermarket radio. There's an amp. Got all this wiring. Has a LED headlight. So I'm gonna clean all this stuff up. But at the moment, I've got to stand down because I'm leaving in the morning to go on my way to Tennessee to meet an excavator to get my driveway put in to the new property. So for now, I'll just leave this thing hang out, and when I get back in the middle of the week, I'll pick it back up. Back at it again today. I'm back from Tennessee, and as you can see, right where I left it, the wiring is kind of catastrophic, so I'm digging in, and I'm going to be trying to figure out what wires can be shortened, kind of clean this up a little bit. This stuff hanging here is because I pulled the radio out. I found that whoever installed the stereo put these adapters in for the speakers, and then they didn't connect the brackets. There's one on this side that's just kind of hanging there. There's a screw there that just is, I don't know if he forgot to do it or what, but I'm gonna pull all that apart and clean it up and see if I can either nut and bolt the speakers or leave them the way that they are, and then nut and bolt the bracket so that it's tightened down, and then clean up anything that I can. Get rid of any wiring that's extra that shouldn't be there. I found these wires, which I believe go back to the spot switch. I think they were added and maybe wired in. Something. Pretty sure that something was added. So I'm going to try and figure that out. Here's another one. But I got the halo working, which wasn't working on the LED. That just needed to be tapped into power on the low beam. And then this here would be for a turn signal. So there's amber LEDs inside here. But this headlamp is probably one of a pair that could be used like on a Jeep or a Chevy. And then you would be able to use the amber light as a turn signal. So that's just going to be dead. They do have some, I think Hogwarts has where it's cut in half so that half of the amber will ignite, but there's not two wires here, so whatever, that'll just hang, and we'll get to cleaning it up. There's a couple bulbs out that I need to replace, can see that one there is definitely launched. So I'm just going to go through it. I want to get to know it, and then get everything cleaned up back here, put this back together, and then I need to go through. It's got a cold start situation where the front plug fouls, and I kind of think it's the plug wire. So I'll go through that, and then I'll get rid of any extra wiring. As I've said, I'm going to be fixing the bars, the clamping was stripped. Where did it go? Well, I don't know what I did with it now. Oh, here it is. So you can see that the bars were sliding in there. So I'll probably eventually go to a single clamp, but I don't have another one. So I'm looking for one. I got another box of parts in the basement. Maybe I've got one down there, but you know, the bike's nice and clean. I just need to give it some TLC and clean it up a little bit, and then see where we're at from there. All right, so I made up this bracket. This is going to go on the speaker right here. It's going to hug the speaker. And I'm going to weld the bolt in through here to pick this up. And then if I need to space it off, I can put a nut on there to bring it out so it's better fit. But that's what I was doing with the tape. I was laying the tape on there to make a template. And then the meat over here, I don't really need to take down. I can leave it on for strength, and then I'll get this welded in, and then I'll work this as tight as it needs to be so it's not rubbing on this. All right, here's the mock-up. Let's see the bracket that I made. Pretty happy with how it turned out. I could clean this up a little bit, but I'm not really worried. It's behind the fairing. I got to trim the 1/4-20, and then that'll be that. And then I'll re-screw everything together. And this bracket, once I loosen it up off of the bracket here, I should be able to reposition it and readjust that screw. So I'd call that a win. One other thing off the list.